We will be talking about resources and development in India. So what is a resource? Resource, the natural endowments in the form of a land, water, vegetation and minerals. These are called natural resources. Resources are those materials which can be transformed in such a way that they become more valuable and useful for fulfilling human needs. So anything which can be harnessed, which can be employed, or which can be used for human needs are resources. These are resources. Now, everything available in our environment is not a resource. Only those who fulfill our human needs. And resources, first, the resources have to be technologically accessible. That is, there has to be some technology which is there to access this resource, to harness this resource. Second is, it has to be economically feasible. That means, if say you have coal here, or say any resource. Now, taking this resource will cost you say 1000 rupees and you sell it for say 10 rupees. So investing 1000 for 10 is not a good idea. It is not feasible economically. But if you are investing 10 rupees and you are getting things out of 1000 or profit, or it can be employed for 1000 rupees, then you can say, okay, it is economically feasible. And then culturally acceptable. That is, India is a wide cultural country. Now this country has different cultures. So if you say that this resource is good for one community, it may not be for the other one. So it has to be culturally accepted also. So these all constitute a resource. So the process for transformation, I'll just go to, there is a very good differentiation being given. And this differentiation is, because resources, as we have taken the definition, but what are different kinds of resources? It will be very difficult to learn all the resources at a time. So there is always a good idea to divide the resource into different, you can say, parts. Okay. So the classification is necessary. Let us see what is the classification is. So the classification starts with the resource which is naturally available by the Mother Earth, and those we create, that is human create. The human creation also involves the structure and institutions. That is, whatever we create or whatever we do, there are certain institutions, like for coal, we have Coal India Limited. For food, we have, or for forest, we have Forest Survey, different institutions related to forests. Then human, what is the quantity? How much content is there and what is the quality? How good it is? Then natural, the resources can be divided into renewable and non-renewable resources. Non-renewable are those resources which we once use will never come back. They cannot be replenished. Like the metals, they are recyclable, but they are non-renewable. Also fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are those fuels which were inside the earth or some wide width of earth inside, and because of temperature, pressure, etc., the remains of plants and animals, they have converted to fossil fuels. Like petroleum products, these are non-recyclable. When we come to renewable, that means they can be renewed. You can get back them again. And one is continuous or flow, that is wind and water. You will get wind and water every time. Biological, they can be natural vegetation like the forest, and also the wildlife, that is the flora and the fauna. The flora and the fauna. So now we can just divide these resources on the basis of various parts, various ways. So the types of resources, as we just saw, we have classified it into various categories like the natural resources, human-made resources, renewable resources, non-renewable resources, individual, community, national and international resources. So natural and human-made, that is man-made resources, what are these? These are the resources which human creates. Natural resources are what? Human-made is human-created. Natural resources, they include land, soil, water, vegetation, wildlife, minerals and power resources. Resources which we create, human beings are involved, these are called as human-made resources, like the engineering we do, technology we employ, machines we use, equipments, buildings, monuments, paintings, social institutions. These are human-made or artificial resources. We start with the biotic and abiotic resources. So biotic and abiotic resources, the only difference is biotic means those who were having life or who are having life. They can breathe. They have some life inside them. Abiotic means those they don't have any life with them. They are not having any life. So resources obtained from the biosphere, like the forest, like wildlife, fisheries, livestock, human beings, we, etc., which have life. So this is very important. Those which are having life, these are called biotic resources. And resources which are obtained from non-living things, these are called abiotic resources. They are not having life, like the iron, like the copper, gold, lead. These are abiotic resources. And of course, we, the human resources. So these resources are made up of us, human beings living in the world. They are the most important resource of a nation because we make a resource resource. We are also a resource, but we make a resource resource. Then coming to the renewable and non-renewable resources, see, we have divided in the different types. First, let me tell you that this division is on the basis of the origin, that is how they are created. On the basis of the origin, we can classify into biotic and abiotic. On the basis of exhaustibility, that is they will finish or not, it is renewable and non-renewable resources. And who holds them, who is holding them, that is on the basis of ownership, individual, community, national, international, on the basis of ownership. And on the basis of status of development, it may be potential, developed stocks or reserves. So we have to have some technological background on this, and also whether we have it or not, means the resources are there or not, and do we have any technology. That is how we divide on the basis of status of development. So this is how we divide them. So we were talking about the renewable and non-renewable resources. So these biotic and abiotic, these were on the basis of origin, on the basis of origin. And this renewable and non-renewable resources, these are on the basis of exhaustibility. So renewable and non-renewable resources, there are certain resources, they have ability to create, recreate, renew themselves in a given period of time. Like the plants, the animals, plants they can regrow. Animals, they may reproduce. They have the ability to regenerate themselves. And minerals, these are non-renewable resources. You cannot make them. They cannot remake themselves. So some of the important renewable resources are what? Water, forest, solar, wind, and tidal energy. Now it becomes very important to understand the resource development. What is resource development? So let me tell you about on the basis of ownership, what it is. So on the basis of ownership, The individual resources are those resources which are held by a single person or a group of people. That is, they hold them, and it is whole soul their property. Nobody can else use them unless they allow. Like the government has given land to certain villagers, and now these villagers, they give some rent on that. Urban people coming to urban area, people have houses, a property, they may have pasture lands, ponds and water in the wells. So these are the examples of ownership belonging to individuals. When it comes to community owned resources, community means for all. If you go to village people or village area, the commons, that is the grazing grounds for everyone, for burial ground, if somebody dies, then these burial grounds are for everyone. The village ponds, that is, if somebody needs water, he wants to take bath, or there are certain things he can do or she can do. The ponds are for community, everyone. If you come to the urban parts, public parks, picnic spots, playgrounds, these are de facto means by default. They are accessible to everyone, not in that region also. Somebody coming from outside also, he or she can employ it, utilize it. Then we have national resources. Technically, if I talk, everything belongs to a region which is called a country. Is the resources, it belongs to the nation because it belongs to us. We are the nation. We then, because we are a democracy and we elect government, so everything belongs to the government, right? They have the legal power, and that legal power, by this legal power, they can take your individual resources also. Say, just assume that there you have some individual resource, and government wants to do something as a project, like railway line is going through your area. So they may acquire land. They can give you, they will give you some benefits also, money in return, but they can always take it. All the minerals, water resources, forest, wildlife, and land within the political boundaries and oceanic area up to 12 nautical miles, that is around 19.2 kilometers from the coast term, as this is around 22 kilometers. Let us make it as 20, right? This 22 kilometers because nautical miles converted to this one. From the coast termed are as territorial waters, and resources therein belongs to the nation. That means if we have our country like this, then this from here to here, 12 nautical miles, everything here is ours, is belonging to this nation. But if you go to 200 kilometer, this area after this, it doesn't belong to us. It belongs to whom? It's international resources. These are international resources. So resources which are beyond 200 kilometers is not into any country's jurisdiction, but in the jurisdiction of international resources. There is international institution to govern it. Just to let you know that India, we are having the right to mine manganese nodules from the bed of Indian Ocean, from that area which lies beyond the exclusive economic zone. That is the area which is coming in the international boundary or international area. We have got the rights to mine manganese these nodules, and these are international in nature. There are some resource classification on the basis of development also. What are these potential resources? These potential resources, they are found in a region, but they are not being utilized. We are not utilizing it, but it is still there. If we go to Rajasthan and Gujarat, we see wind and solar energy power is immense. You can get the energy with wind and solar, but we have not been using it. So it's a potential resource. Sometime we may use it. When it comes to developed resources, that means everything has been done, we have been using. So resources which we have already surveyed, we know the quantity, we know the quality, and we are using it, we are utilizing it. And we have proper technology and the feasibility, as I said, cultural feasibility, and also the economic feasibility. Coming to stock. Now stock, materials in the environment which have the potential to satisfy human needs, but we don't have the technology. That means we know that we can use it, we can employ it as a resource, but the problem is we are not having the technology to employ it, to use it. So this is called as stock. So if I take this as a stock, all this, they are there, but we are not having the technology, but we can use it, harness it. Because water, if you see water, H2 and oxygen, it is combination of this one, and these are quite good gases as far as energy is concerned, inflammable gases. Hydrogen, oxygen, we can employ it for as a rich source of energy, but we don't have the technology to employ it. That is why we consider it as a stock. When it comes to reserves, see, reserve is a part of a stock. So if I take this whole as the stock, reserves are the part of the, or you can say subset of the stock. Now we know that there are certain technology by which we can use it, but we have not employed the technology as of now. Because see, the river water, these hydroelectric powered the projects, we know that water can be used for generating electricity, but whole things we have not employed. There are certain reserves which we have kept, and we may use it in the future. So these are reserves. Now coming to the resource development, the resource development is very important. See, we have talked about resources. Now it is very important for us to know how to develop these resources, because resources are known only resources when we develop them. If ever they are lying somewhere, we are not utilizing it, or we are not employing the technology, etc., they are not there, we are not developing it. So resource development, some natural resources, we cannot use it directly. While using the natural resources, we need to keep certain things in mind. The nature, the type, the size of the resources, like the ocean water, solar energy, wind energy, climate. These are inexhaustible resources. They will never exhaust. While iron, tin, copper, gold, silver, these are exhaustible, but we can use it. They can be reused again and again. So we must reuse and recycle the resources. So what we mean by the development of resources, see, the people, there are human beings, or everyone thinks that this resources are the free gifts of nature. No, it is not. Unless we utilize them properly, we develop them properly, they are not. We are indiscriminately, without thinking about the future, we are using these resources. So what are we doing? There are certain problems which we are facing. First of all, the resources are getting depleted. They are getting scarce. Why? Because some greedy people, individual peoples are using it. And when certain people are having the, you can say, monopoly for certain resources, that is the accumulation of resources in few hands, that is these people are getting richer and others are getting poorer. Then if we are indiscriminately exploiting this, we will succumb to certain kind of ecological crisis. Globally it is seen, like the global warming, the temperature of the you can say the earth atmosphere is increasing. That is, when it increases, or if it goes beyond 2-degree temperature, the glaciers are going to melt. This melting water will submerge all the islands, low-lying islands. We have ozone layer depletion. We have already found ozone layer depletion just top of New Zealand. People are getting skin cancers. Environmental pollution we are doing, cars, we have different means, manufacturing things are going on, industries. So we are polluting. We are also spoiling the land. We are degrading the land. So all these things, these are we need to understand that we are putting our planet in the danger. We need to understand that we have to see the sustainable existence, sustainable development. So what is this sustainable development? This sustainable economic development, this means development should take place without damaging the environment, and development in the present should not compromise with the need of the future generation. That is, see, if I am using something, I am ruthlessly using something. My kid, how my kid is going to use it? Is it possible? Even if he uses some of them, what about his next generation? Sustainable development means you are going to use the resources in an intelligent way, in a controlled way, and then you will leave it for your next generation. That is called the sustainable development. So what happened in 1992? 1992, there was a summit. This was the first summit. In June 1992, 100 heads of the first international, 100 head of states met in Rio de Janeiro. This is in Brazil, and it was the first international Earth Summit. And this was in order to see all these things going on which I just discussed. That is, the problems of global climatic change, the upkeeping of biological diversity. So they came up with the 21 agenda, and this 21 agenda that consists of 21 points, and it totally, you can say, indicates the how to control the environmental damage, the poverty, the disease through global cooperation, how to curb it, global cooperation on common interests, mutual needs, and shared responsibilities. Now coming to resource planning. What is resource planning? When you have a wide variety of resources, it becomes very important to plan them. So resource planning, this is a technique or a skill of properly utilizing the resources, or skill of proper utilization of the resources. So there are certain stages in resource planning. First is preparation of the inventory of resources. That is, we need to survey, find out, map, GIS mapping, etc., and measure the characteristics and properties of the resources. This is the first step. Then we have to evaluate in terms of availability for development. So these steps involve, or this stage involves, the examination of resources from the point of view of technology, economy, and need. And then planning of the exploitation of resources, that is, planning how to use these resources. So this stage is related with systematic planning that emphasizes on the use and reuse of the resources. So resource planning helps to reduce the wastage and keeps the environment pollution free. Next comes is the conservation of resources. So before that, let me take you to the diversity of India as far as resources are concerned. Some places we have very good resources, same resources are quite high in one place. Some other place it may not be there. For instance, the states of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, they are quite rich in minerals and coal. Arunachal Pradesh, northeastern state, Arunachal Pradesh has abundance of water resource, but there is no infrastructural development. There is nothing like that. Rajasthan, this place has a wide solar and wind energy possibilities, but the water resources are not there. If you take Ladakh, it's a cold desert, so it has almost nothing with because the resources, in terms of resources, it has less things. So now the planning, because we have wide variety of resources, one place may have higher resources, one place may have lesser resources, and the places where resources are not there, those places are also quite up in the rank of the listing because the growth is quite high. So what is there? We need to properly plan we have to plan the resources. So resource planning in India, as I said, this is a quite complex process. First, we have to identify an inventory, find out the inventory of the resources, and which includes the surveying, mapping, the qualitative and quantitative estimation of the resources, and how the measurement of the resources have to be done. And apart from that, we have to see, because there is whether we have technology, skill or institutional setup or not. For that, we have to implement resource development plans. And finally, matching the resource development plans with the overall national development plans. Means there is a central plan and there is a state, there is a local plan. So there has to be a harmony between all these three. So this has already started when we got independence from the first 5-year plan. Now this availability of resources, as I said, is very, very important as far as the development of the area is concerned. If we have technology and institution, economically backward regions also can prosper, but we have seen places those are rich in resources, but they are economically backward regions. If you take the name of Jharkhand or say Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, they are behind Gujarat, they are behind Jammu Kashmir, they are behind those places where there are less number of resources. We have seen the colonization, and this colonization, what happened? The English, the other people who were our colonizers, they came and they actually harnessed, they found out the places, they got attracted to those places where they have abundant amount of resources. So that is how they ruled over us, by getting or finding, and because they had the technology at that time, and this is how they actually came for the resources and they utilized it and they ruled us. Now comes the conservation of resources. What is the conservation of resources? See, the management of resources by human is known as conservation. Means we have to use the resources the way it should be, in a judicious and planned manner. So conservation of resources, because the resources, there are certain resources which we know which are not going to come back. So resources are quite vital as far as the development activity of a country is concerned. If we use the resources irrationally, or we overutilize the resource, and that will lead to various socio-economical and environmental problems. For that, there are various people who thought that this long back. Gandhiji said that there is enough for everybody's need, but we don't have anything for anybody's greed. This is what he said. And because of this exploitation nature, because of the greedy and selfish individuals, there are resources which are almost depleted at global level. So there is one more thing, I'll just tell you how it started. Because Gandhiji, what he said was strengthened by some others also. What happened at the international level? Club of Rome, it was the first to advocate the conservation of the resources. In 1974, Gandhian philosophy, it was strengthened by Shoemaker in his book Small is Beautiful. And then it came to global level by a commission report, Brundtland Commission report in 1987. And this report introduced a new word which we already discussed, sustainable development. So this said that we need to conserve the resource. Finally, it was presented in a form of a book which was called as Our Common Future. And we already talked about, after all these things happened, there was the first Earth Summit at Rio de Janeiro in Brazil in 1992. So there are certain type of resources. The most important is land resources. Everything happens on land. Whether it is natural vegetation, wildlife, human life, economic activities, transport, communication system, almost everything is on the land. We get our food, we get the shelter, we get everything. So we have different types of varied features in India. Like we have 43% plains, we have 27% plateaus, and we have 30% of mountains. That means we have almost all kind of different features in India. So if land utilization has to be considered, land resources or the resources which are land are used for certain purposes. First is the forest, and then we have land not available for cultivation. So land which is not available for cultivation, we cannot cultivate here. That may be a barren or wasteland. That may be land put to non-agriculture uses. For instance, building, roads, factories. There are other uncultivated lands also. You can exclude the fallow land here. Fallow land are those land which are just being left to regain the fertility. So other uncultivated land, these are permanent pastures and grazing land, and land under miscellaneous tree crops groups, and they are not included in net sown area. And cultivable wasteland, and these are left uncultivated for more than 5 agriculture years. So it's a higher number, you can say fallow land with higher number of years. So fallow lands, of course, which is current fallow land, which is just left without cultivation for 1 or less than 1 agriculture year. And then other than this fallow, which is left uncultivated for past 1 to 5 agriculture years. And what is the net sown area? Area sown more than once in an agriculture year plus net sown area is the gross crop area. So these are the land utilization. Means if you have, say, a place, these two places, and this place has 1 crop, this place for same year it has 3 crops. So you have to add 1 plus 3, and this 4 will be gross cropped area. But this 1 will be net sown area, and this will be net sown area 1 and 1 only. But 1 plus 3 is the gross cropped area. So the land use pattern in India, because as we said, we have different types of the topography, climate, soil types, human also, like population density, technological capability, and culture and tradition. So the use of land depends on all these factors. We have 3.28 million square kilometer area, land area, but we only know about 93% because some places we haven't got the say data about them. They are really far, and some places are in Jammu Kashmir especially are occupied by Pakistan and China. So we have around 93% of the data of land use pattern. So land resources, India has a variety of relief features like mountains, plateaus, plains. 43% of the country is covered by plains, 43% by plains, and they provide cultivable land for growing crops, these areas. And 30% of the country is covered by mountains, and they provide natural resources like forest and wildlife. 27% of the country is covered by plateaus, as we see here, which contain mineral resources, forest, and some arable land. So total area we have is 3.28 million square kilometers. 44% of this total land area in India is net sown area, net sown area which we just talked about. 22% is covered by forest, 4% is cultivable land, 11% is fallow land, 4% permanent pastures, 14% land is not available for cultivation, and 1% is available for miscellaneous tree crops. So the land use pattern in India is determined by both physical factors like the topography, climate, soil types, as well as the human factors. Human factor is also involved with respect to land use pattern, which is population density, technological capability, and culture and traditions. So let me just take you to this diagram. If you see, this is of 1960-61 and this is 2002-2003. So this is the forest region, 18.11. It has almost 4% it has increased, but not that much. We need at least 33%. Then we have this one, the larger one, that is net sown area. Then in between we have this barren wasteland, area under non-agriculture use. This is permanent pastures and grazing land. Then we have this one, area under maize, this tree crops and grooves. This one, cultivable wasteland. These are the fallows other than current fallow. This is the current fallow. And this is of course the net sown area. So we have seen that the land under permanent pasture has decreased because if it is decreased, then how are we able to feed our huge cattle on this pasture land? So most of other than the current fallow lands, they are not of good quality, or the cost of cultivation is quite high. So these land are cultivated once or twice in about 2 to 3 years, and these are also included in net sown area. Then the percentage of this NSA, net sown area in India, this comes to be around 54%, right? And this pattern also changes to every state. 80% in Punjab and Haryana, 80% of the area is net sown area. But Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Manipur, Andaman Nicobar Islands, they are just 10%. They are just 10% sown. So by the national, this policy, forest area in the country is far lower than 33%, because what is outlined in the national forest policy is we need at least 33% of the area to be covered by forest, because in order to get the or maintain the ecological balance, we need at least 33% of the forest covered. Okay. So we have all kind of areas, and we need, the main thing is we need this much of 33% of forest cover really. Now, land degradation and conservation measures. So if you see the degradation of natural vegetation, that is, if the natural vegetation or land we talk about, they are getting degraded. So why are they getting degraded? They are caused by overgrazing by animals. If animals are overgrazing, or if you leave them overgrazing, then this is the first cause. Then deforestation. Deforestation is the other cause. If you remove the forest, degradation of natural vegetation will take place. And also careless management of forest and degradation of land. This is again the reason. So when we talk about land degradation and conservation, we have seen that our main needs, 95% of our basic needs, like food, shelter, clothing, they comes from where? They comes from where? Let me just take you that these comes from land only. About 130 million hectares of degraded land exist in India right now. So we were talking about the food, shelter, etc. They come from land. So what we are doing is we are actually degrading the land. Degrading the land. So there are around 130 million hectares of degraded land. 130 million. And 28% of this belongs to the category of forest degraded area. 56 is the water eroded area, and the other are simply not good, like saline or alkaline deposits. And what we are doing is we are deforesting, overgrazing, mining and quarrying. These are the cause of main land degradation. Again, land degradation is mainly because of deforestation, overgrazing, mining and quarrying. So this is the wasteland in India in 2000. This picture shows all that we have water eroded area, this one, and this is forest degraded area, this is saline and alkaline land, and this is wind eroded area. So what happens when we mine? There are places where we mine, and when we mine, I'll just show you. So say we have made a mine here. So this is a mine, and we take out all the excavation work, and we leave the traces and the scars, and we just leave it. So if you talk about Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, deforestation, because of the deforestation, because of the deforestation, and due to mining. Deforestation due to mining, because mining needs deforestation. You need to take out the plants or trees here. So deforestation due to mining have caused severe land degradation. When you come to Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, overgrazing is the main reason of land degradation. When you come to Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh, these areas, because of the over irrigation means irrigating overly, water is too much. So over irrigation, because of this the land degradation is taking place due to the water logging, and this water logging will increase the alkalinity and salinity of the soil. And the mineral which you can say the places where grinding of limestone take place in the cement industry, and calcite and sapstone, that is soapstone, for ceramic industry, they also generate a lot of dust in the atmosphere. So when this dust settles down on the land, the water infiltration becomes less. So water does not seep into the soil because there is a sheet of you can say dust, right? So we have seen that these industries, industrial effluents are waste. They have become a major source of land and water pollution, because untreated water from or untreated chemical or physical content in this are quite high, and they are untreated and just left in the water and the land. So now these are the problems, but the question arises is, what are the solutions to it? Now the solution is, first of all, afforestation. That is growing up the forest, and proper check on the grazing, because see, most of the problem has come from overgrazing, right? And then planting of shelter belts of plant, controlling the grazing, stabilization of sand dunes. So these shelter belts are nothing but you are growing plant in line, so they will stop the speed of they will decrease the speed of the wind, and then all the dust and the erosion will be lesser. And these are sand dunes. Then we can have some you can say thorny bushes which can be grown here, and this is how we can check the land degradation. Then we can check the wastelands, control these kind of activities, can be controlled, mining activities can be controlled, and there has to be proper discharge from these facilities. That is proper discharge and disposal of these industrial effluents and waste which are coming from these industries. So this will reduce the land as well as water degradation in industrial area, especially the suburban areas also. We are talking about the land resource. So soil as a resource. Soil is the most important renewable natural resource. This is where the plant grow, the living organisms live. That is, it is a support system for everything. So this is the soil profile. This is where you stand. If you stand here, this is the top soil, the upper soil layer this is. Just below this we have subsoil, weathered rocks, sand and silt clay. Below this we have substratum weathered parent rock material, and then we have unweathered parent bedrock. So as I said that this soil is a living system and it takes millions of years. Soil does not get produced in just a time, it needs millions of years to even make a few centimeter depth. So what are the factors, or what are the ways in which this soil is formed? Relief. What is the parent rock? What is the bedrock? What is the climate? Vegetation. And there are different forms of life, time. These are important factors in the formation of soil. So soil depends on what is the relief, what is the rock type, what is the climate and time, and the forms of life there. So how does this soil actually form? There are various ways. First of all, change in temperature, running water, wind, glaciers, and activities of decomposers. They all contribute to the formation of soil. There are chemical and organic changes that take place in order to make this soil. These are equally important. So soil consists of organic as well as inorganic materials. This organic material is humus. So on the basis of the factors which are responsible for soil formation, color, thickness, the texture, the age, chemical and physical properties, we can classify the soils as well. But let me tell you the procedure of how the soil is being formed. See, this is a rock. Now here, the water is coming. Here the wind is blowing. So very minute, micro level, these very small particles, they take away water as well as the air, wind and the glaciers, they take away. And when they take away, they deposit it somewhere. Mostly the water, that is the rivers, etc., they take and they cut the stones and they take very minute particles and they form the soil. So glaciers, wind and air are the main factors which create because of the, you can say, erosion and the weathering. And then we have the flora and fauna. When they die, means when they complete their life, then they are also, because of the microorganisms, they form what? They form soil only. So this is how soil is formed. So it's a gradual process. It takes millions of years, not 1 or 2 days or years. It takes millions of years. So because everywhere the condition is different, the climate is different. So depending upon the climate and the situation in an area, the classification of soil can be done. So let me tell you again, the soil is the uppermost layer of earth crust, which is loose, fragmented, and which is quite useful for plants. And plants gets their nutrients, everything from the soil. And because they are loose, so the air can take them. So we need some procedure to stop this. We'll talk about that in the coming discussion. So as I said, soil formation, the factors that contribute to the formation and fertility of the soil, these are what the rocks from which the soil is being formed. The climate, the plant, the animal, the local topography. And these soils, they are made out of what? Rocks, as I just suggested. The rocks, they degenerate, disintegrate, decompose under the process of weathering and erosion done by the wind, the water, the glacier, etc. So there are different types of soils. The soils of India, they are classified into different types because we are 30 degree around latitude and 30 degree latitude and 30 degree longitude. So we have different type of climatic conditions. We have different types of flora and fauna and various other things, factors which we just discussed. So soil types, first is the alluvial soil. Then we have black soil, red soil, laterite soil, mountain soil, and the desert soil. So let me start with the alluvial soil. So it is of two types. Khadar, which is found mainly in the northern plains and coastal strips of the eastern coast. Then we have Bangar, we'll talk about that. Then black soil. This is derived from Deccan traps. Deccan traps, it occurs in the area Maharashtra, Western Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat. And this is very important for the cultivation, ideal for the cultivation of the cotton. Red soil. This is formed in the areas of igneous and metamorphic rocks. It is found in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha and Jharkhand. Then we have laterite soil, and this is intensively leached soil, lot of water, where we have lot of water, especially of the monsoon climatic condition. It is found in the hills of Deccan, Karnataka, Kerala, Odisha, parts of Assam and Meghalaya. Mountain soil. It is characterized by the decomposition of organic materials derived from the vegetation cover found in Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Eastern Ranges, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir. Desert soil. This is found in arid areas, dry region of Rajasthan, Punjab and Haryana. So this is soil erosion. We are just coming to this, but before that, let me show you the areas we are talking about. First of all, the alluvial soil. So this is the region of alluvial soil. Then we have red and yellow soil. These are the red and yellow soil. These are the regions of red and yellow soil. Then we have black soil. This is the area of the black soil. Cotton. Saurashtra is also having this kind of black soil. Then we have laterite soil. Laterite soil is always in the places where there is lot of water, about 200 centimeter of water. This area also. Then we have arid, especially in the region where it's dry. So I would like to take you back and we are going to discuss them once more. So alluvial soil. What is alluvial soil? This is most widely spread, important soil. Entire northern plain is made up of what? Alluvial soil. And these alluvial soil has come from main three river system of Himalaya: Indus, Ganga, Brahmaputra. And with a very narrow corridor, they also extend to Rajasthan and Gujarat. They are also found in eastern coastal plains and all the deltas of Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri. So they consist of a different portion of sand, silt and clay. And as we go inside or inland towards the river valley, the soil particles, they get bigger as we reach the river valley. So near the place or the break of slope, the soil is becoming coarse. So such soils, these are more common in the pigment plains like the Duars, Chaos and Tarai. Apart from this grain size, they are also described on the basis of their age. So the alluvial soil, it can be Bangar or Khadar. Bangar means old alluvial. Khadar means new alluvial, new soil. So the Bangar soil, in this Bangar soil, we have high concentration of kankad nodules. So Bangar has lot of big kankad. Khadar has very small kankads, right? And this particles, if you see where the particles are small, it makes the Bangar more fertile, because this Bangar is Khadar more fertile because it is having, this is a new alluvial and it has small particles. That is how the Khadar which is the new alluvial soil, is more fertile than the Bangar. So let me tell you one thing, that this is the river bed. So the soil which is here, this is the new soil, and as I just said, this new alluvial soil is called Khadar. This is Khadar, and as we go up, there you get more bigger kankad or bigger stones, very small stones you can say, and this is called this one is called as the Bangar. So they are less fertile. They are very fertile, as we just said, because they have quite a proportion of potash, phosphoric acid and lime. Very ideal for the growth of sugarcane, paddy, wheat, cereals and pulse crop. And that is how these places where we find alluvial soils, these places are intensively cultivated, and that's why we have dense population here. Population density is quite high here. So let me take you to the places again so that you understand that this is the alluvial. These are the Indus. See, this is the Brahmaputra. This is Brahmaputra region, and this is Ganga Kshetra, Ganga area. So this is how we get the alluvial, and there is a very small corridor. It reaches to this portion also, and with this narrow corridor it reaches, because this is a region of delta of there is a part of Ganga goes here also, that is called the Hubli. So we have this region also. And this, the coming monsoon or the retreating monsoon, it rains here a lot. That is why we have these as the alluvial soil, and mostly the rivers, Godavari, and we have Krishna, Kaveri. These are all the deltas. That is why we have a alluvial soil here. I hope you got the idea of the alluvial soil. Now let us get back to the black soil now. Black soil. And the black soil, just because of the color, they are called also as regur soil. Regur soil. And they are ideal for the cotton growing. And it is assumed, believed and found that climatic condition along with the parent rock material, these are the main formation of this black soil, because it looks black. If you see this, look black. And this came from, and this is very typical of the Deccan Trap, that is basalt region. And this is spread over northwest Deccan Plateau, and these are made from the lava flows. They cover the plateaus of Maharashtra, Saurashtra, and Malwa, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. And they also extend up to the direction of Godavari and the Krishna valleys. So this soil is quite fine, clayey material is there. And it has a very important quality that it can hold moisture. Black soil can hold moisture. It also has rich soil nutrients like calcium carbonate is there, magnesium is there, potassium lime is there. And they develop crack. As you saw the picture, you can see the cracks. And in the hot weather, that is why the proper aeration, that is the air can go inside. Then when they get stuck, so it becomes very hard. So we need some plowing, and this plowing is normally done in the pre-monsoon period. So let me just again take you back to this region. Where is your black soil? So this is the Maharashtra mainly region, this Saurashtra region. These are all the places where you get this black soil. Now coming to red and yellow soils, because of the color, there are two different parts. Red comes from crystalline igneous rocks, area where low rainfall is there, eastern and southern part of the Deccan Plateau. The yellow comes, this yellow and red soils found in the parts of Odisha and Chhattisgarh, southern parts of middle Ganga plain, and along the Western Ghats, pigment zone of Western Ghats. So why this is the red color? Due to diffusion of iron in crystalline and metamorphic rocks. And yellow because it occurs in hydrated form. So this is how it has got its color. Now coming for the laterite soil, this word has come from the word later. Later means brick. Brick means later. So this has come from later. And these soil is found where there is very, very high rainfall, and along with this there is high temperature, heavy temperature. Because of the high rain, it is a result of intense leaching. Leaching is what? When most of the water is there, so most of the nutrients, or you can say these all contents, they mix with water. So this is the soil, you can see laterite soil, and the humus content, of the soil is low. Why? Because most of the microorganisms, because of the high temperature, they don't flourish, they die. Basically, microorganisms are the decomposers, and because of the high temperature, they are not there. That is why this humus content, which is made by the decomposers or microorganisms, bacteria, it is not formed. And it is very suitable for the cultivation if you use manures and fertilizers. And they are mainly found in Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, and hilly areas of Odisha and Assam. So if you see this Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu, they are growing with proper this nutrition, or you can say fertilizer and manure. They are actually growing the two very important crops, tea and coffee. They are grown in this laterite soil. Also, the red laterite soil in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh and Kerala, very suitable for the cashew nuts. Cashew nuts. Now coming to the arid soil, if you see, this is the arid soil. This arid soil, generally they are red to brown. You see the color, this is variating, and the soil content is quite high. And because the dry climate is there, high temperature is there, evaporation of water is too fast, the soil is not having humus and moisture. Okay, so we have conker here most of the time, and because we have conker, the water infiltration of water going inside is less. So we see it in western Rajasthan. Let me first complete this forest soils, I guess. So these soils, forest soils, again in hilly and mountainous areas where we have sufficient rainforest, and this soil texture actually varies to the mountain environment. They are loamy and silty in the valley sides and coarse and grained in the upper slopes. Where the Himalayas are covered with snow, these soil, they experience denudation. What is the denudation? Denudation is the soil erosion due to glaciers, water and wind. And they are acidic, and the humus content of this type of soil is less. So they are found in various, this region, lower part of valleys, and particularly on the river terraces and alluvial fans. These are fertile. So let me take you back again to, it is very important to understand that where do we find it. See, this red and black, these are the region of red and black, and then we have the laterite soil. These are the laterite soil. This is the laterite belt, laterite, and if you see the water, these areas are quite hot and they are having high rainfall also, these areas. That is why we have laterite. Arid is this region, very dry and very high temperature region. And then forest, of course, we need to see the forest also. Forest, this is the forest mountains. This is the forest. If you see, this is all the forest areas. So now after this, there is a very important aspect we need to understand, that is the soil erosion. So what is the soil erosion? Let me take you to what is soil erosion first. Soil erosion is the removal of soil from one place to another by some natural agent. It can be water, it can be wind, it can be glaciers, or it can be human-made activities also. So the natural agent is called soil erosion, and conservation of land and plantation of trees, these are the methods which are adopted to reduce the soil erosion. So soil erosion, I'll show you some pictures also. The denudation is simply the soil erosion of the soil cover, and the denudation of the soil cover and then washing down, subsequent washing down, is nothing but the soil erosion. How does this happen? This is happening by the natural agents we just talked about, and also because of the human activities. We are deforesting, we are overgrazing, we are constructing and mining, we are doing all these kind of things where these soil erosion take place, and along with that, wind, glacier and water, they are also doing, these are the natural agents, they are also doing the erosion. So the running water, it cuts through the clay soils and makes deep channels as gullies. If you see, this is a clay area, so water goes down there in the slopey area. This is called the gully. This is called the gullies or gully erosion. Now the land now become unfit, so that is why we call it as, we cannot cultivate here. So this is called as bad land. If you see the Chambal basins, these are bad lands. We also find ravines there, ravines. Sometimes the water flows as a sheet over large areas down the slope, and such cases the topsoil is washed away. This is called sheet erosion. Again, water flows as a sheet over large areas down the slope. So if you have a slope here, the water goes like this, and this is called sheet erosion. The water flows like a sheet. Then we have wind. Wind is always blowing. So wind, when it is blowing, it loses soil off flat, means it takes off the upper portion of the soil, and sloping land known as wind erosion. So this is how the wind flows and it takes all the soil from here. And also we have defective methods of farming. If you use defective method, then also if you are plowing in a wrong way, then you are finding or making channels for quick flow of water leading to soil erosion. That means if you are flowing like this, you are making actually the channel. The water will go like this. The air will take all this content. So this is called the defective method of farming. You are actually making wrong way down the slope, forming the channels for quick flow of water. So if this is the mountain, what you can do, or hilly region, you can do contour. This is called contour lines. Line of equal heights are called contour. So flowing along the contour lines, this will de-accelerate, or this will reduce the speed of the water which are flowing down the slopes. And this is known as contour flowing. Contour flowing. Now steps can be, this can be, see, if this is a mountain, you can cut a step like this. This is called stepping, right? Steps can be cut out on these slopes. You can make the terrace. This is make the terrace. So this terrace cultivation, it will restrict the erosion. So erosion will be restricted. So western and central Himalayas, they have already, we have seen, developed terrace farming like the Uttarakhand area. And large fields can be divided into strips. So we have large fields, let us divide it into strips. And in between this we can grow the grass and small plants. And this will be decreasing the speed of wind. You can say it will break up the force of the wind, which will be eventually taking the upper layer of the soil. So we want it to be stopped, or we need to break down the force of the wind. And this is known as strip cropping. We call it as strip cropping. So planting line trees, that is, if we plant trees like this in a line, this will also reduce, it is called as, it will create a shelter, right? So these are planting trees in line, it will create a shelter. It works in the same way like this. So rows of these trees, these are known as sheet belts. What are these called? They are called sheet belts. And this will stabilize also. If you have these, say, sand dunes, you can grow some small plants or the shrubs. So this will also stabilize the flowing, because in the desert region, wind is flowing quite faster and it will take all the sand. That is, it will try to stabilize the desert in western India. But we have certain examples. We just need to check what all we are doing. Deforestation, overgrazing, construction and mining. We just have to stop this, or we have to control this. So there are certain good stories also. The village of Sukho Majri and the district of Jhabua, they have showed how to stop this land degradation. Tree density of Sukho Majri increased from 13 per hectare in 1976 to 1,272 per hectare in 1972. So this is how, when we regenerate the environment, this also increase the pocket or the economy at that point. So the average annual household income in Sukho Majri, it was actually ranging 10,000, and it increased to 15,000 between 1979 and 1984. And Madhya Pradesh government, they gave hand, or they gave freedom to the people, and they actually did a lot of work. And this state, across the state, they did watershed management. So if you do certain small activities, this soil erosion and all the problems which we are facing right now can be stopped or can be minimized.